like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the. I hear him chat to the noise, and stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Nice, keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize. Don't tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Act like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution.
It's just bananas.
I think it was an article I read on some film blog years ago, and it was by some director I think you may have heard of. I am not selling this well, but the general gist of the article was like how to make your shots more dynamic. And the only tip that really stood out to me was to use smaller light sources. Today's video is sponsored by my good friends over at Aputure, who have just launched this new Lightbox 4545, also a handheld bracket for the COB60D, and I think maybe some cables. Mostly what today is gonna be a behind the scenes shoot of that intro we just watched. We're also gonna talk about the softbox a little bit, as well as just general lighting tips. Let's get into it.
I'm so happy you weren't standing down there. Wow.
Maybe you've heard it said before, and maybe you haven't, but I certainly have, which is like, buy the biggest, buy the most powerful light that you can afford, because you can always dim it down, and with the more powerful light, you can shoot it through more layers of diffusion, or you can make book lights, and all these sorts of ways to create these big, soft, professional looks. And that is not always true. When I think about a light like the Amaran 60D here, I almost imagine it as a halfway point between a little MC that you could magnet underneath something and a 300D Mark II. You get the versatility of a hard light that you can also diffuse, and the small size that you could squeeze into a backpack, run it off of small batteries, and in general do a lot more interesting things like what we did here today.
I had this idea a while ago for a way to rig up an overhead light, and it was based on those old cartoons where, you know, someone's sad and then all of a sudden the rain cloud just follows them around overhead. And I've been using this viral cable cam a bunch lately, and then I realized that the Aputure Amaran 60D is so small and lightweight, and with this new 45 by 45 square softbox they put out, the weight is actually low enough that I could string it up to the cable cam, and then in the cable cam app, I could just set it at whatever speed I want, and there you have it. Flying rain cloud overhead light. That's the idea. Let's see what happens here. We've got the 60D up now, but currently the light is just spreading a little bit further than what we want because it's gonna end up hitting some of the container and the poles here as it passes through. I'm gonna head up there now and I'm gonna put this grid on, and that's basically just gonna help stop some of the angular light so that it just shoots straight down. So whatever's beneath it still gets that same soft, large source coverage, but things off to the side aren't gonna see it.
While we were trying to set up this first shot here, Dave had the great idea to push the light a little bit further back for starting up, so that rather than lighting me, it would actually light the white wall behind me and turn me into a silhouette, which then created this really interesting, almost inverting of colors as a reveal of me or of whatever this shot was going to be, that I just thought was super cool, super unique. I've never shot anything like it, and I'm really happy with it. When we were setting up for the shoot, my only real plan was to try and make this overhead following rain cloud light. And then I just figured, well, between myself, Dave, and our friend Will from the Ali and Will YouTube channel, which you should check out, link below, would basically just figure out other cool shots using just that Amaran 60D and the Lightbox 45-45. We did actually use a couple shots where we used some of the Lightstorm 60Ds, which are like the built-in Fresnel lights. Super cool lights, by the way. But that's just because Dave has a couple and Josh has a couple, and so, you know, we have them here. There's not a whole lot to talk about when it comes to the new Lightbox 45-45. If you understand light modifiers, softboxes, then here it is. It's a square 45 centimeter by 45 centimeter softbox. There you go. And while I do own a light dome that I lent out to someone and some generic massive Amazon softbox that I honestly despise, I'm excited to say that this Lightbox 45-45 is going to become my go-to in-studio light here, but also my go-to travel light setup. So what I really love about this softbox is that it packs down super small and flat, which means I can just stick it into my backpack with the Amaran 60D and a battery plate and some batteries. It's gonna fit in my normal size camera backpack. There you have it. That's the new Lightbox 45-45 by Aputure, and it's a great, small, compact, soft setup, and it's gonna work really well for me. And if you own some of these smaller Aputure COB lights and you're looking for a versatile light setup, which means you could have a hard point source with just the COB or maybe a reflector, as well as a soft key light setup, this is gonna be a great setup for you. Unfortunately, the night that we filmed this, the new handle for, you know, going Hollywood with the light hadn't arrived yet in the mail, so we kind of had to just hold it in our hands, which worked fine, but the handle would have made things a lot easier. One thing I will say about the handle though, is I just wish it had either a 1/4-20 or a 3/8 inch mounting point at the bottom, or preferably even a hole in the bottom so that you could rest this handle right onto a light stand and kind of bounce back and forth between the two. But that's really my only issue with the setup. Lighting really is the most important thing when it comes to photography and filmmaking, in my opinion. Like, it's the #1 thing that you should be focused on learning, because once you understand light and understand how you can shape it and add light or remove light, you know, with negative, but you'll start to realize that you can enter most situations and with a few small tweaks or just a couple small lights, make a big difference in the final image that you're creating, that you're capturing on camera. Oh wow, my card is empty. And also, bedtime reminder. I'm gonna go to bed. Let's pick this up tomorrow.
Oh yeah, wow, this is really sketchy today, huh? Like, what?
Whose idea was this? Big soft lights. Big soft lights means flattering. Everyone's happy. It looks professional. And that's just not always true. You don't always need big lights.